Are we gonna ignore the fact that you were running from the smoke as far as the Drake for all the dogs? Like,
Come
what's
on,
up,
bro.
dog?
I already talked to Hefe yesterday. I said, bro, I'm taking over the pod. He thought he was gonna escape.
We did mention this. I'm not gonna
He
lie.
Wait,
thought
take over the pod about what? What are you talking about?
about that boy, the boy,
That shit is trash.
Drake.
For the record.
Go ahead. You want to give your 2 cents?
Listen, man. For all the dogs, y'all already know what it is. I already told both of y'all. We have this conversation endless amount of times. It's a great album. I like it. It maybe has like 2 or 3 songs that I don't listen to, I don't fuck with. One of them grew on me. But overall, like the R&B vibes on there, I loved it. It had a lot of really good songs when it came to that realm. Some of the rap songs I didn't love at first, but then they ended up growing on me. Such songs such as like "What Would Pluto Do," "Away from Home," um, "First Person Shooter" is a banger. We already know that, but yeah, I just think like overall when I listen to it, and I always find myself listening to the album. It's been maybe like a couple weeks since I went back to it, but I was listening to some of it yesterday. But yeah, has like a handful of like really good songs. And I watched your pod, man. I think your
Thank
homie,
you.
shout out to him. Shout out to your boy. I forget his name. Remind me.
Shout out, Mike.
Mike, my man Mike. He touched on a lot of the things that I was gonna address too, such as it's a structured Drake album, bro. It's like I don't know what everyone is expecting. They're mad at him because of what they're expecting when he's constantly shown the same thing. He does his hits, he does his R&B, he does his rap. It's a Drake album, bro. And if you don't like it, then why you keep going into it? That's my thing. But great album. I like it. Still listen to it. Um,
What is it? Where does it rank within for you? Where does it rank as far as Drake's discography?
yeah, that's what I was about to get to. So like maybe because how many albums he has? This is what?
Where are we excluding So Far Gone, or are
Uh,
we including that?
we should.
Okay, I'm down for excluding it.
Let's see.
Okay, so then
I,
it's Thank
I
Me
remember.
Later, Take Care, Nothing Was the Same. If you're reading this,
Is on there. Uh, the one with Future, Fuse, More Life, Scorpion. It's hard because like we were talking about Thank Me Later last night, and I was like, yo, I really like that album. But as I'm like talking and naming the
Wow, that
songs
shit.
I like, it was more than half of it. So I'm like, oh shit, like maybe it's not such a bad album, but
it's not a bad debut, bro.
yeah, it's not bad.
The debut song is trash
What was it?
though. Fireworks with Alicia Keys. It's
Oh,
trash.
you talking about the first track? Oh,
This
okay,
man
okay.
hates fireworks, bro. But he's gonna
That
say
shit,
one thing is that he hates.
Yeah,
yo,
you've always hated fireworks. Why is that?
that shit's so whack, bro. Are you kidding me, bro?
I thought it
That
was
shit is
okay.
trash, bro.
I thought it was okay.
All I see is fireworks. That shit is trash, bro. Over my dead body. Takes that shit out the fucking. Yo, I could go on for that.
I will say though, and I don't know, I don't think I have an official Drake rank. I should probably like work on that, but like it's one of the albums I listen to a lot. But I think as I've gotten older, because I didn't like him at first, I wasn't a fan. I thought he was corny, but then he kind of like started feeling more confident because he started seeing that he was that guy. He still has his like corny little tendencies, but like at first he felt like he was trying to be the people he was around. And then as soon as he started like getting the hits and all that stuff, he's like, you know what? Like, there's no reason for me to be like them when I am this. So I started respecting him and liking his music a lot more. But so that's when I started listening to like a lot of his stuff more. So I can't really count like the early years. Like, yeah, I don't really listen to that. I don't really listen to this. So that's why I don't really have a rank. But I do. It did take me like a good 3-4 months before I slowed down on listening to it. So
Three,
it's up.
4 months. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's because the R&B joints, I really fuck with them. And then he did the deluxe pack,
Which
which
was
ended that for me. Like I was like, oh, this gave me like more reason to listen to the album. I kind of like how he did it because he did his album and then he just gave like a 6-pack of like him rapping, which was pretty cool. But it was still kind of reactive, which was a little disappointing.
right.
But guy
He,
does what he wants.
he's in a little bit of a tough spot because, and I think I said it during that pod with Mike, is that he's in a little bit of a tough spot because he's kind of like If he does this, people are still gonna ridicule it. If he does what people are asking, people are gonna ridicule it. So
That's a lie.
it's just hard for him to appease any fan, honestly. He can't do it all at once. My gripe with him, man, is just dog, he is the guy in music. Fuck hip hop. He is the guy in music. And I just feel like if you're that stature, if you're the number one guy in music, shouldn't you have a little bit more of a catalog where we can point to and be like, these are your classic albums? And I feel like he hasn't done that. Take Care is the only classic album in my eyes. And then other than that, everything is very like up in the air. Some people have this album, some people have that album. I'm not comparing Drake to Jay. I'm not comparing the two artists, but as far as Jay being when he was the man in hip hop, you can point to this album, you can point to this album, you can point to that album as far as a generic classic album to the masses, where I feel like Drake doesn't have that.
Yeah.
To the masses, it might be only one. And I'm like, yo, shouldn't you have a little bit more under your belt?
I mean, it's a valid point. It's just like a part of the hip hop conversation, right? We just naturally are going to head there. But I think we can't hold him to a fault because of that. Granted, what you're saying is true, but albums these days, the top artists these days is not the same as what it was back then. Like Jay-Z
Yeah.
like Jay-Z's the GOAT. Like I'll say that shit over and over again. But like Jay-Z still kind of like had to prove himself. He was with Jaz-O, right? And then he came out, Reasonable Doubt. People didn't fuck with it at first, and he often says that. And then people go back, oh, this is the classic, you know? So things like that. But even like small example, Views, when it came out, people were like, this is fucking trash. I'm like, nah,
that's a classic album. That's a classic album.
And then over time, people are like, yeah, Views is actually really good. So like there's like little hints of that, but like his like road to stardom was never because of that. So like him staying consistent, and even like there's certain points, right? Like I am hearing a lot more of like, yeah, I didn't like his album. He's falling off. Like I'm hearing a lot of that, but that's just part of the journey, bro. When you're up top, it's part of it. But I mean, your argument, like I absolutely am gonna listen to it. It's valid from the hip hop lens, but I think he's kind of like semi-transcended hip hop. Like you addressed it too. You're like, yo, he's the biggest artist in music, not just rap. So like I think we got to give him a different type of like pathway because that's what he created for himself.
I see what you're saying.
But yeah, man. Like
what do you think about what do you think about you heard about Yasin? What he said about him?
Yeah. I watched a little clip. I wish he would have addressed it and articulated himself a little differently, but he made it like a joke. I'm just like, bro, you talking about Drake. Like, it's not a joke. This is the biggest artist. Like, you got to give it more like of a thought out answer. But I get it. It's easy to poke fun at him. A lot of people do it, but not me like trying to defend him, but like for somebody like Yasin, who's like well known, well respected, I would assume that he would at least give a better articulated answer instead of saying, yeah, it's nice music if you go to Target.
Target. Yeah.
Yeah, like, okay. This shit is at Target and it's probably at Starbucks and it's also in your girl's house.
Right.
Oh, like it's all over the place. You feel me? Like, you're right. But like to say he's not hip hop because of that, nah, bro.
Nah, yeah, Drake is definitely hip hop. There's no question about that. But you can also say that, like within hip hop, you can 100% say that there are like subcategories within hip hop.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like one of those subcategories of hip hop might be commercial hip hop, if you will. And Drake is so big, so much of a big artist that I feel like he kind of hits every subcategory. Not every single one, but he hits a majority of them. And one of them is commercial hip hop. So the music he makes, there is going to be one or two or a couple songs where they're going to land within that subcategory, the commercial hip hop. But like,
do you
go ahead.
Do you find those songs to come from his albums or his features?
His albums.
Example. Like give an example. I'm just curious, like, because I was trying to think of that, and I'm just like, I don't think those songs come from his albums.
What's the you can call me on my cell phone? I forgot that one.
Hotline Bling.
But that was like a Lucy. He only put it on his album because it was such a massive song.
Okay. What about
the streaming era, you know? So that's why he put it on there. Because remember, that was his spinoff of Cha Cha by Baby Drum.
Okay. I mean he has more. I got more. So
yeah.
One Dance.
Okay, there we go. It's a good example.
Hold on, we're going home.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Damn it. Oh, God's Plan.
That one, yes, but I think that song is one of those joints that just became something that he didn't even think it was going to become. Because that also was a Lucy. That was Scary Hours,
It was.
the first pack.
Okay.
But
What
the other
about
options you gave, perfect example. So I'm like, I just needed like to like pinpoint them. But yeah, so like some of those, right? But I think your point, those are intentional commercial songs. But like Jay-Z did it, but he had songs with like Pharrell. So Pharrell was like very much still hip hop realm at that time. Because when you give it to me, like we still hear that at the spot, we still hear that at the club.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
So yeah, no, yeah,
Uh,
I know. I'm just saying like giving examples of like
mhm.
how poking at him for that is just like, oh, you're just poking at him, but you're not giving a different valid answer.
Right.
Also, like more than ever, the subgenres like are here, right? Because I think for me, when I started thinking about it and like going back in hip hop, I'm like, all right, so it was rap slash hip hop. Hip hop would be that. Like these are the songs that you can gonna hear at the place, you're gonna vibe out to, you're gonna hear at the club. And then the rap songs, this is like your Mob Deep, this is your Noriega, like that shit. But like now, to your point, there's so many categories because music has evolved so much, especially hip hop, and people are influenced by certain different things. Like now, more than ever, Drake will say he's inspired by Aaliyah. You know, Kid Cudi will say he's inspired by Kurt Cobain. Whereas back then, it was very much so, yo, Run DMC, Rakim. So like now, it's growing. It has grown. So like that's why I'm like, you know, like it's a weird jab. That's all I say. Like I would have liked to have heard a better answer.
Yeah, I feel you. It's just, oh man, it's just, I don't know, man. Drake is just, he's just, Drake is at a position right now where I don't think anybody has ever been, including the Jays, including the, I was gonna say
Eminem,
Eminem. I
nobody.
was, I was gonna say Ye, and yes, as well, Ye. Throw him in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Drake is so like, I don't understand why he's getting all these jabs. And on top, also, what I want to say is that like we're also in the generation where it's like if you don't agree with it, if you don't celebrate it, it's looked at as hate.
correct.
And like if you can't like if you criticize something, it's not criticism anymore. It's not constructive criticism. It's always like, okay, you said something type negative, so that means you're not a fan of it. And it's like that's not true. You're just giving your own opinion, which is like
Yeah,
I hate that.
yeah.
And
The only time I don't like, I'm sorry to cut you off, like
no, you
validate
good.
is like if you don't even consume that like whatever topic it is, like you don't even consume these types of movies, you don't even consume this artist's music, you're just like saying that because 10 years ago you really were a fan of like 90s rap and Drake came out singing and you never heard that before, so you don't even listen to his stuff, but you, oh, I hate Drake, I don't like him, da, da, da. Like if
That's
you like
crazy.
you guys like y'all listen to Drake, so that's why I'm always like, yo, I'm gonna hear you out and I have more validity when it's coming from somebody who actually listens to the music.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it. And the internet too.
Yeah.